Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another in our series of webinars. Very grateful to you all for joining us on this sunny morning here in Central England. Our topic today is studying in Central Europe, a really fascinating topic, and I'm delighted to have two expert panelists who are going to be able to give you some really wonderful information about the opportunities for students to study both at their universities and within the countries that they will be talking about as well. I'll ask my two co-panelists to turn on their webcams and unmute their microphones so that they can introduce themselves to you shortly. So my name is David Hawkins. I am the director and founder of the University Guys. We are a small team of specialist accredited independent university advisors working with schools and with students and families to support with all aspects of international university applications. More details are available at our website, universityguys.com, and I'll ask my colleagues first, Jan and then Peter, if they would introduce themselves, please.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Jan Pavlík and I'm currently the head or the director of the Center for International Cooperation of Masaryk University in Brno in the Czech Republic. We have a team of roughly 25 and we deal basically with student and teachers exchanges.
Great, thank you, Jan. And Peter?
Hello everyone, my name is Peter Arvai. I work at the University of Pecs. I'm the Deputy Director for Internationalization there. And yeah, basically we deal just as like Jan with exchanges and student recruitment, but I think we'll get deeper into that later on.
Great, fantastic. Thank you very much, gentlemen, and thank you in advance for the excellent presentation that our audience are going to receive. Also worth saying for everybody listening and watching in that the webinar is being recorded because of time zones and people having other commitments. Many people were not able to join us live. So if you could please keep your webcam off and your microphone muted, that will mean we get a very good recording to be shared later. And you will also all be emailed a link to the recording so you can share it with your students and families. Great. So the format for the session then is I'm going to give a little bit of introduction about studying in Europe in general. And then the two colleagues are going to talk, first of all, for 10 minutes about studying in their country, and then 10 minutes about their university. So we're talking about studying in Central Europe. And just to clarify a little bit on that, because it's a term that is probably deliberately vague, we're focusing today on the Czech Republic and Hungary, but there will also be common features to students who would be looking to study at other Central European countries, Poland, Slovakia, and Austria being three really interesting destinations for students to consider. But with both Pecs and Masaryk having really strong international programs and some great offerings for students, felt it was important that they were the ones to be able to showcase their institutions and indeed their countries. So why might students consider studying in Europe? What are the attractions when students are thinking about studying in universities in Europe? Well, the key thing for people to be aware of is that across Europe, however it may be defined, we have a European higher education area. And that European higher education area came about through a thing called the Bologna process, where 48 countries, through the Ministries of Education and a number of other international organizations, over a period of time have harmonized their higher education processes. So that means across these 48 countries, we have a three-cycle system of university education. Students leaving high school will first of all go and do a bachelor's degree. After that bachelor's degree, they can then progress to a master's degree, and if they so wish to also then go on to a doctorate. Because of the Bologna process, we then have a high quality assurance process where the Ministries of Education and organizations which accredit universities in each country work together to strengthen quality assurance, and that therefore means there's a very easy recognition of qualifications and periods of study. So a student choosing to study a bachelor's degree at one university within the European higher education area will then be able to take that bachelor's degree for the purposes of employment or further study to a different university in a different country within the European higher education area. So a very strong program, high quality, and enabling students to be very flexible about their onward study paths. Within that, though, there are some other benefits which I think are really attractive to students wanting to study within Europe. You'll hear a little bit from my two colleagues about the massive cultural diversity and the ease of travel within Europe. But compared to many other higher education areas that students might be considering, so the United States, Canada, maybe Australia, within comparatively small geographic distances and comparatively low time to travel between places, students can experience massive cultural diversity. Students who are studying in the Czech Republic or in Hungary will be very easily able to travel to other countries nearby by train, by plane, or even by a bus, and experience wildly different cultures, linguistic groups, food groups, music, politics, and be able to really learn about how different communities and different societies work and function with each other. That's made even easier by the fact that we have a thing called the Schengen area. The Schengen area is a subset of the European Union and a group of countries which have come together in certainly normal times, unlike where we are now with the COVID-19 pandemic, to enable students to have visa-free travel. So students studying at a university in one country in the Schengen area, if they've got a visa to study in that country, they can then travel across the entire Schengen area for leisure, to see friends, but also importantly to have access to the European labour market. So students who are studying at a university in one country but would like to take an internship in another country, potentially like to study abroad as part of their degree, will not need a new visa to do that. And if they're looking for onward work pathways, they have that accessibility to the European labour market. So a student studying at a university in one particular country can apply for jobs in many, many other countries, is able to take that Schengen visa so they can hop on a bus, a train, or a plane, and then be able to interview at a company in a different country. So real key benefits there where students might look at Europe as a whole rather than focusing on one particular country. A couple of other areas to touch on as well for students who are looking at studying in Europe is that most European countries have retained a really interesting set of universities where they're divided maybe into the more traditional research university, which may be what a lot of Anglo-centric students are thinking about, academic education with a 3-year bachelor's, focusing on the theory, why do things happen, studying subjects like philosophy, medicine, law, design, economics, and history. But in a lot of European countries as well, there is a still parity of esteem and a very strong University of Applied Sciences sector, where this is professional higher education, where students may spend a year longer, typically for 4 years bachelor, with compulsory work experience, placement, or internship, where students are being trained on the how things work. Linking to a particular industry, in many cases their lecturers will be working in that industry part-time and lecturing in the university the rest of the time. And this is training people based on competencies. So things like arts, things like music, teaching, physiotherapy, but also business. And business is an interesting example. Business can be taught at a research university, and it'll be theoretical, maybe psychology, theory of the firm, some economics, some financial accounting. But it can also be done in an applied way, where it might be more case-based, starting a company, working on a project for a local employer. So again, for students who might fit different styles of university education, Europe is a great to consider as well. And then we also have across Europe a big difference between comprehensive universities, again, what most people might imagine, a university where there are students studying every single type of subject. So within a dorm, there might be a student studying history, a student studying engineering, a student studying music. And that can suit some students because it can be a very strong undergraduate community with a big social life, lots of clubs, lots of opportunities to get out and about and do different things, and accommodation provided for a lot of students aged 18, 19, 20, 21. But you could also go to a very specialised university that might be focusing on one subject, for example, business or the creative arts, or maybe a couple of subjects in similar areas. And that might be a more postgraduate focus. So students may be studying at a business school, might find that the business program is only a couple of hundred students in a year group, but there are students doing Masters in Management, Masters in Finance, MBAs, executive courses, and the bulk of the students there are in their 20s, 30s, or even older. So students who maybe want a more serious, professionally focused degree might find that, and that's obviously going to have an impact then on what the social life and accommodation might be like. So great options for students who are looking at universities across Europe, and I'll hand on first now to hear a little bit more about the Czech Republic. Please do also say when you'd like the slide to be advanced.
Okay, thank you. So please go to the following slide. Yeah, I'm sorry, my slides or some of my comments are a little bit UK centered or UK focused, but this is just to give you an idea of the distance between the capital of the Czech Republic and the capital of the UK, between London and Prague. It's roughly 1,000 kilometers, which is really nothing, and Brno, which is the blue dot in the middle of the map, that's Brno, which is another 200 kilometers away from Prague, and you can reach it obviously by train or by bus. We are located in Central Europe. We usually say that we are located even in the heart of Europe, which is something I believe our Hungarian colleagues say as well. It's one of our favorite slogans. But if you look at the map, it might be true. Can you go to the following slide, please? Yes, we have undergone a slightly turbulent history in the 20th century. The country was born in 1918, just after the end of World War I. It was called Czechoslovakia, as some of you may remember. But in 1993, the two parts of the country split and we became the Czech Republic, and the second country is Slovakia. So we have 27 years of the Czech Republic behind us. We have roughly 10.5 million inhabitants and approximately the same area, the same size as Scotland. We are obviously members of the EU, members of the Schengen area, it has just been said. But it is probably important to say that we are one of the safest countries in the world according to various rankings, which in today's world is not negligible. According to one of the rankings, the Czech Republic is even the best country in the world to bring up your kids. I know that it's not that important for students yet, but one day it may be. We are the cradle of several, let's say, big inventions and discoveries, like the father of genetics worked in Brno, exactly. We invented the contact lenses or discovered the blood types, and such funny things as sugar cubes or cubed sugar and lager beer come from the Czech Republic as well. The following slide, please. Yes, some of you may know the French 18th century philosopher Montesquieu, who used to say that the character of a nation is heavily influenced by the character of the nature of the landscape of the countryside where these people live. So, you know, the fact that we are such a safe country comes probably from the mildness of our nature. You can see on the picture here, the following one. As far as tertiary education is concerned, we have in the country 26 public universities and some 60 minor private higher education institutions, some of them international. The big public universities cover the full spectrum of university education, anything you can imagine, ranging from Egyptology to nanotechnologies and so on and so on. As it has already been said, we have the three-cycle, three-tier system with 3-year BA, 2-year MA, and 3 to 4-year PhD cycle. We use what's called the ECTS system, which means that the exchanges between universities within the Bologna area is very easy. And this is just a nearly funny detail. The oldest university in the Czech Republic, which is Charles University in Prague was established just yesterday, but 72 years ago. It's at the same time, it's the oldest university in Central Europe and the oldest university on this side of the Alps, of the mountains. There will be like 5 universities belonging to, let me say it like that, to the Ivy League of the Czech Republic, 2 of them located in Prague, 2 of them in Brno, and 1 in Olomouc, another city in Moravia, the region of the Czech Republic. 3 of them are the traditional comprehensive universities, which in our conditions means that we are basically without technical fields of study. And 2 universities are basically technical universities. Masaryk University is the 2nd largest university in the country, and the 2nd university in the country teaching basically in Czech, obviously because it's the national language, but teaching also in English. Apart from that, you will have minor universities in each of the regional capitals you can see here on the map. The following slide, please. The interesting thing is that public universities, all of them, offer free tuition in programs that are taught in Czech, regardless of the nationality of the student. If the student comes from Australia, from India, from the UK, he or she can study free of any tuition fee if he or she is able to study in Czech, which obviously is a challenge. But we do have preparatory courses in Czech, but for non-Slavic countries, it is very difficult. On the other hand, tuition fees are paid in all of the English taught programs. So you have to pay fees even if you are Czech, if you study in an English taught program. But you will see that later on, the tuition fees are much lower than in the, well, all of the countries where tuition fees are being paid actually, which means that there is a great ratio between the quality of the education and the tuition fees. The cost of living is very favorable, except in non-capital cities like Brno and Pécs. I would suppose that's the same case compared to Budapest. And obviously students can work if they have a student visa. The following slide, please. The degrees from our universities are recognized worldwide. We are quite heavily internationalized. More than 11,000 students arrived to the Czech Republic only with the Erasmus Plus program. Apart from that, we have obviously bilateral agreements and other types of exchanges. So university cities like Brno and Olomouc are really full of international students. And education, especially in hard sciences and in technical fields, is very much intertwined with research, because in the past 10 or 15 years, we have managed to build very important research structures with the EU subsidies. And there is a long tradition of both technical education and education in hard sciences. Following one. Yeah, well, this is just to show you that we have some state-of-the-art equipment. We will see that later on as well. The following one. Research, 13 persons, full-time equivalent per 1,000 persons work in research in the country. And well, 0.8% of scientific papers are written in the Czech Republic. although we have only 0.14% of the world's population. Masaryk University publishes some 1,000 papers with impact factor per year. The money spent on research and development is unfortunately not sufficient. It has been rising very, very slowly. Let's hope it will get better. But the Czech Republic has very good programs in IT, especially in Brno. And Brno is some kind of IT hub of the Czech Republic, with quite a number of IT businesses located in Brno. The following one, yes, now Masaryk University, please, the following one. One of the, let's say, most appealing characteristics of the university is that we are a mix of modern, speaking of buildings, and of traditional or historical buildings. This slide shows what we call the new campus, which was built with a loan from the European Bank of Investment. It's home to 3 faculties, the Faculty of Medicine, the Faculty of Science, Life Sciences part, and the Faculty of Education. But apart from that, all the other faculties, or nearly all the other faculties, are located in the very center of the city. We have more than 100 buildings in the center of the city, historical buildings that have been recently refurbished and equipped really with up-to-date infrastructure. The following one. Some basic facts. We were founded in January in 1919. We have just celebrated our 100th anniversary. We were founded, which in itself is a miracle, only 2.5 months after the end of World War I. We have today some 30,000 students, or a bit less than 30,000 students, and more than 200,000 graduates since 1922. The following slide. We have 9 faculties. 4 of them are the founding fathers or founding mothers, whatever you call them: law, medicine, science, and arts. 1 faculty, education, was established after the end of World War II, and 4 faculties were established after the collapse of the communist regime in 1989. Economics, administration, informatics, social studies, sports studies. Informatics is the only more or less technical faculty we have at the university, because we are really the so-called traditional, comprehensive Humboldtian university, and no technical fields of study were taught. And the big news is that from July the 1st this year, we will have a 10th faculty, which is the Faculty of Pharmacy. The following slide. We are quite proud of the unemployment rate of our students. It's greatly less than 2% 2 years after graduation. To say the truth, it's not a miracle, because the Czech Republic has the lowest unemployment rate in the European Union. And even today, with the coronavirus crisis, it's less than 3%. The environment at Masaryk University is really quite international. We have more than 20% of international students, but to say the truth, a great majority of them come from the neighboring country, from Slovakia, because they are perfectly able to study in Czech, although their mother tongue is not Czech, it's Slovak, but it's quite close to the Czech language. We have built several very important research centers in the past years. One of them is the so-called CETEC, the Central European Institute of Technology, which is a consortium of several universities of Brno. There are 5 universities in Brno. And it's, I would say, by far the best equipped and most important research center in the region. Our students are used to participate in research. One of our BA students won the undergraduate award in life sciences like 2 or 3 years ago. And we had the finalists in the life sciences field for several years. We are very proud of our special department dealing with students with special educational needs. We have more than 500 of them at the university, and we are by far the best center in the country. The following slide. We are members of several university networks. One of them, the most important today, is the EDUC, European Digital University, together with Pecs. I think that Peter will speak about that as well. The following slide. We are quite strong in the field of internationalization. You can see that we got the first award for innovation in internationalization for the European Association for International Education. We send abroad about 2,000 students every year, receiving 1,500 students every year. And nearly 17% of our students or our graduates have had international experience. The following slide. 21% international students. We are quite proud of our visiting teachers scheme. We support them, finance their stays at Masaryk University, including the travel. And we support very strongly our international students. Every international student is guaranteed to have accommodation in student dorms. Obviously, they have all the possibilities of mobility within the Erasmus program, like all the Czech students have, and so on. The following slide. A few words about the city of Brno. It's the 6th best city in the world, according to students themselves, because the student crowd, the student community, which is about 60,000, 65,000, is very strong in the city. Whereas in capital cities like Budapest or Prague, the students or international students get lost in the tourist crowd and so on. Here, they are really a very important minority. Brno, by the way, produces something like 35% of the world's production of electron microscopes, and it's a real IT hub of the region. It's very comfortable for traveling around. 7 big capitals of Central European countries are located within 550 kilometers. Following slide. And so you can see it's really a student city, and there is an atmosphere you would expect to have in a small city at the seashore during holidays or something like that. The following slide. We offer some programs in English. I will not insist on that. You will have that in the presentation. Obviously, the flagships will be probably the 5- and 6-year programs in general medicine and in dentistry at the Faculty of Medicine. That's the 2 programs attracting the majority of international degree students. quite a number of students at the Faculty of Economics and Administration, with a huge international crowd as well. The following slide. And a great number of programs in English at the Faculty of Social Studies, including double degrees with other European universities. And from next year on, we will have a 5-year program in English at the Faculty of Pharmacy as well. Please go ahead, following slide. The tuition fees, you can compare that to other fees you are probably used to in other European countries or in the UK, are lower or even much lower than in other countries. The following one. This is just an example of the structure of the calendar of our academic year. We have 2 semesters, usually autumn and spring, starting in mid-September or late September. This year it's slightly exceptional because of the coronavirus epidemic, until Christmas, and the second semester or the spring semester starting in, let's say, mid-February, usually until mid-May. And then exam periods of 2 times 6 weeks, both in January, February, and in May, July. Following slide. These are some instructions on how to apply. The important thing to say is that is the recognition of previous education. We have a system which has become slightly simpler than it used to be. You can ask for recognition of your diplomas only at the university, and then your diplomas are recognized for Masaryk University, where you can continue. It's not a national recognition, but it's perfectly valid for Masaryk University. The following one. Yes, so this is one of our happy students. We obviously value very high the opinion of our international students. So we, after every semester, we open an anonymous poll, and these are some of their comments. Anonymous mistakes included. I love especially the last one. The following slide. You can learn more about Masaryk University and about Brno on these links. I won't insist on that. So the following slide, please keep in touch. We are obviously on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere, or you can write to us, email to me directly. The following slide. Thank you so much for your attention. I'm ready to answer your questions if you have any.
Great, thank you very much, Jan. That's very kind of you. We will head on to hear from Peter about opportunities in Hungary. The slides will be shared with everybody afterwards, so you'll be able to see all those links in a PDF as well as also the recording. We'll head on over now to hear about opportunities in Hungary.
All right, thank you very much, David, and thank you, Jan. Yes, we actually work together in several fields. We have a joint degree together with the Masaryk University, and we are in several organizations together, just as the EDUC in the European universities initiative, and also we sit in the Compostela group of universities together as well. I think that was the first time when I met Jan in Mexico, maybe last May or so. So yeah, we with Masaryk University we have a wonderful cooperation and relation. We can go on for the first slide or the next one. Basically, yes, not much well, surprise here. Just a couple of informations regarding Hungary. I suppose you all know that we are also located in Central Europe. Yes, we also love to say that we are in the heart of Europe, but I think that apart from the Czech Republic and Hungary, there are several other countries who like to use this this phrase. As you can see, our capital is Budapest, so the University of Pécs is located in Pécs, outside of the capital. What we're going to see a map about this shortly. We are proud to say that we are one of the oldest countries, founded in 896, and we are, at least before the COVID-19 pandemic, we were among the most popular tourist destinations in the world. So I hope that even if you are not choosing Hungary as your study destination, you're going to visit us as a tourist. We can continue, I guess, for the next slide. Yes, so here's the map. No surprises here as well. One of the upsides of studying inside Schengen zone, as we all touched it very briefly, is that you can get an additional value to your degree, because you're not going to be only a great expert on a certain field, but you can get a multicultural aspect of things. You can get a multicultural experience, because with your during your studies you can really freely and for really cheap, you can travel around, and basically inside the Schengen zone you can get 20 plus different cultures and 20 plus different languages. And when we are considering that most probably if you are studying abroad internationally, if you get an international degree, then you most probably will work in an international environment. And I think that one of the most important skills that you need to gain during your studies is to cope with it, is to get to learn how to deal with colleagues and clients from different cultural, religious or language background. And studying in Europe and traveling around and get to know as many cultures as you can is a wonderful opportunity to do so. Here I'd like to briefly mention that if you are studying in a full degree program in Europe, you are eligible for the Erasmus scholarship scheme, which means that you can do a one semester or one whole academic year abroad at another European university studying the same field, and for that period you receive an extra scholarship from the European Commission. So I think it's also a very great idea to broaden your horizon of perspectives. We can go on, I think. Yes, so the higher education system in Hungary is pretty similar to the Czech one. So just very briefly, the first university in Hungary was established in 1367. I think it might be the second one after the Charles University, and this university was established in Pécs. So we are proud to say that we are the first university in Hungary, and among the first ones in Europe, turned 650 years old a couple of years back. I wouldn't spend so much time on describing the Bologna system. It might be worth to mention that there are one-tier undivided programs, which are basically a bachelor and a master program together, so they're not split, mainly on the field of medicine and engineering, especially in architecture, and in several special art programs like painting or sculpture and so on. So for those who are looking for medical studies, we offer 5 or 6 year undivided programs. Yeah, we can move on. I think all these things are mentioned already. The education system, again, very briefly, there's a slight distinction or difference between the continental European system and the US type of education. So there's no multiple majors, no general liberal arts programs. In our case, applicants choose their subjects from the start, so from year one, and there's a very strict path that they need to go through, even though of course there are a certain flexibility when it comes to choosing elective courses and so on. We use a 5-point grade system where 1 is the worst grade and 1 is the only failing grade, and of course 5 is the excellent grade. As you can see, 1 academic year consists 2 semesters, which is a fall and a spring semester. Usually in Hungary, I think the case is the same in the Czech Republic as well. The summer break is the longest one, over 2 months, even nearly to 3 months long, and then there are certain smaller breaks during the academic year. Of course, it can be important for international students because these are the times when you get to go back to your families, or you can use these opportunities to go and experience a bit more of Europe. I think we can continue with the next one. Yes, very briefly, we're going to, of course, mention the tuition fees, and one of the huge upsides of choosing Central Europe as a study destination is the very affordable tuition fees, comparing with the also quite affordable living expenses. But the Hungarian government also offers a large-scale scholarship program called Stipendium Hungaricum, which is Latin for Hungarian scholarship. So really, speaks for itself. Basically, as I said, it's a very generous scholarship program because it covers the full tuition fee, the accommodation if the students stay in the dormitory, the medical insurance, and also students receive an extra monthly allowance. This scholarship program is based on bilateral agreements between the Hungarian government and other governments. So of course they are not always available for every citizens, and not every study program is available for everyone in this scholarship framework. So I highly recommend you to check out the website mentioned here. Yeah, we can move on, I think. Thank you. So very briefly about the city of Pécs. We are a university town because the University of Pecs is host to a home of 20,000 students. As you will see later on, a bit more than 20% of this student body is built up by our wonderful international community. Pécs is a lovely historical city, which was first habited by the Romans during the Roman Empire, and became the first European capital of culture in 2010, first among the back then socialist countries. We also like to say, just as Jan mentioned in the case of Brno, that we are a safe and secure environment. I think it's a raising importance factor that wherever you go to study, that it should be a safe environment when you can walk and wander around freely. And we also have a UNESCO World Heritage Site as an early Christian cemetery, and we are a UNESCO Learning City since 2017 in the company of Shanghai and Beijing. So really wonderful other cities. We are quite proud of that. As you can see on the pictures, we are also very happy to say that Pécs is a really Mediterranean city, considering the weather and the architecture. As you can see in one of the pictures, on the main square of our city, you can see a huge mosque, which is now turned into a Catholic church because Hungary was under Turkish, or more precisely Ottoman rule for 150 years. So of course it has its footprints on our architecture as well. Next slide, please. Yes, so some facts and figures about the university. As I've already mentioned, we have over 650 years of tradition, and there are more than 20% of the student body is built up by international students, representing 114 different sending countries, and we're going to get deeper into that later on. Currently, we have around 4,500 international students, studying at various study programs. Currently, we offer more than 60 different study programs on every major field of studies, except for veterinary medicine and agriculture. But apart from that, basically, we can cover all the different study fields. As we have a medical school as well. We have our own clinics, which of course has the duty of the service of the whole region, but also it's a wonderful opportunity to do the traineeships and the necessary traineeships of the medical studies. However, most of our international students studying in the medical field do their own clinical trainings abroad. We have great connections with the clinics, mostly in Germany and in the continental Europe and in the United States. So yeah, basically most of the students are going there. I mean, international students. We also have a great system of dormitories. Why it's important? Because we are proud to say that we can offer dormitory placement for every first-year international students automatically, and from the second year on, each student can reapply based on their academic performance. I think it's also an important and great opportunity, because studying abroad is a wonderful thing to do. It's a necessity to say that, and but of course it can be overwhelming, it can be stressful, and the landing process can be a bit overwhelming. And I think that if during at least the first year or first semester you spend it at the dormitory, then I think it smooths the transition in some ways. I think we can continue. Yes. We belong to the 2.8% of international higher educations regarding the different rankings. I've got this from QS World University Rankings, but basically they show the same even on Times Higher Education or the Shanghai rankings as well. We have some wonderful honorary doctors, including Donald Tusk or Dr. Jane Goodall. And regarding international accreditations, of course, as we already mentioned before, David mentioned, all of our degrees are automatically accredited inside the European Union. Other national accreditations can be tricky many times, but I think that it's more important how the labor market is valuing the degrees. And regarding that, we have some wonderful feedback. So our international and, of course, domestic graduates are getting their jobs very quickly and above average salaries. What's not in there among the international accreditations is the newest one. Our business administration bachelor program got its EPAS accreditation, which is basically the biggest and most prestigious international accreditation in the field of business and management studies. Yeah, we can continue. Thank you. So yes, regarding the colorful international student community of PECH, you can see the top 12 sending countries in 2019. You can see that the biggest part of our students, international students, are coming from Germany. That's because we have German taught programs in medicine and dentistry. So a huge, so of course in these programs, 95% of the students are Germans and the remaining 5% are Austrian students, and we teach them in German language. Other than that, of course, I think that here you can see in this chart the very, let's say, traditional sending countries when it comes to international education. So China, Iran, Pakistan, Turkey, Jordan, Nigeria. Of course, these are basically the main sending countries. Everywhere, maybe the ratio is a bit different from country to country, but you can see that this is a quite colorful list. And why there's a top 12 instead of top 10 is because each of these 12 countries are represented with more than 100 students. So this was the basically the line where I draw. We can continue to the next slide, please. Yes, as I already mentioned, we basically offer at our 10 faculties English taught full degree programs on every level in various study fields, including business management, legal studies, medical and health sciences, natural sciences, human and social sciences, arts and engineering. This all adds up to 60 plus different study programs. And as you can see in the tuition fees, they are quite affordable, especially when you compare it to other options inside the UK or US or whatever. Of course, as you can see, the medical programs are the most expensive, but of course they have a huge need in different tools and everything. Whilst for an international relations program, you can do it with a chalkboard. We can continue, I think, for the next slide. Yes, regarding the application requirements, I think these are very basic ones. So basically, the certificates of previous studies. The transcripts are of course great if you receive it. There are specific entry requirements that are highlighted at each programs. Of course, for example, for architecture program, you need to also submit a portfolio of different drawings. For arts-related programs, again, a portfolio is also needed. For medical courses, basically, we have our own entrance examination, which is a mix of a multiple choice test in biology, chemistry, and physics, and an oral interview. Or instead of doing our own multiple choice test, you can do the BMAT, which is the biomedical admission test, which is worldwide available and I think accepted by many medical schools. So it's a great alternative. And of course, we require proof of English proficiency if you are applying for our English taught programs. Yes, we can continue for the next slide, please. Living costs and accommodation. I also mentioned that we can be, I think, and just as Bruno, Page can be a wonderful deal if you make a quick calculation of tuition fees and living expenses. We like to say that the average living cost is around $500 per month or 450 euros. This is not the bare minimum that you can survive with. It provides, let's say, a decent level of life, but of course it's always depending on your needs and special habits and so on. But in this amount, we consider the accommodation, the food, the clothing, and whatever social activities. Dormitory placement is, as I said, automatically provided for every international freshman students for $140, 130 euros per month. Which includes of course, the weekly cleaning of your dormitory room as well, so not just the bed somewhere. We put in some pictures of our dormitory. As you can see, these are in quite good shape. Mainly in our cases, students live in double rooms. I think for UK students it can be surprising. But you live in double rooms, so you have a roommate. I think it also helps with the transition period while you start your studies. And 4 people, or like 2 rooms, are living together in one block, as we call it. And these 4 people share the same kitchen and the same bathroom. If you prefer to live in a rented flat, you can do it as well. Again, at a very good price. I think we can continue, please, for the next one. I just highlighted some student services because just to get back to what I previously mentioned, studying abroad is wonderful, but it can be overwhelming, and you might feel or might face different challenges that you would face if you stay home. For that, we provide free student counseling, psychological counseling for international students. Also, we provide peer mentoring, so personal mentor system. And we have also a campus legal aid clinic, which is also free. So if you have any legal questions or problems or whatever with your landlord, this is the most common one, then we can help you professionally to solve it. Yes, next slide, please. Yes, and we have a system, what we call international students ambassadors. I think you kind of figure out what it is. Basically, international students who are currently studying at the University of Pecs and willing to help the prospective applicants with, direct experiences and sharing their knowledge and sharing their experience of various things, everyday life, study programs, and so on. You can find them on our website, and you can contact them there directly. Yes, we can continue, I think. Yeah, so basically that's my last slide. Thank you for your attention. Just to sum it up in a nutshell, I would like to say that studying in Central Europe is a wonderful idea because it's cost effective. So but you get a very good quality for your money and a highly recognized degree, and you get the extra opportunity of traveling around in the Schengen zone, basically freely, for a very cheap price. And while doing this, you get and gain amazing extra skills that will help you in your later life. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Peter, and thank you to Jan beforehand. Just a minute or two just on what we do at the university, guys, and then time for a few questions that have come in. We are passionate about students studying in global university destinations, and we'll work with schools and students to help students through our three-step process of working out, firstly, where in the world do they want to apply, exploring their options, based on that, preparing to make those applications, to get ready to, and then supporting with all elements of the applications. And it's my great pleasure to be able to offer this webinar and others today. If you would like more information about us and our services, the details are on the screen now. The QR code will take you to a link where you can sign up to receive our monthly newsletter, either as a student or parent or as an advisor or an agent. So again, thank you to my panelists today. That was really very informative. A couple of questions that come in, and I'll ask Jan and then Peter to answer each in turn. First question that's come in would be application deadlines. So Jan, could you talk about the application deadlines for Masaryk? Well, Jan, you may be muted still. Not sure we can hear you.
Sorry, you can hear me probably.
We can hear you now, Jan, yes. Hello. So could you talk about the application deadlines?
Turn on the camera. Yeah, the application deadlines depend a little bit. Usually it's by the end of February for the following fall semester, but at some faculties they can start the academic year with the spring semester as well, and then it's sometimes in autumn. I don't know. Please, if you send me the question, I will write you the reply. I don't know it by heart.
Fantastic. And for Pecs?
In our case, the application deadline for the upcoming September intake is so it's different from program to program, but it's always between June and July. So we have still, of course, we are still open, but it's really hard to say anything regarding the COVID-19 situation. So we try to be, and this is true for the in some cases for the requirements, that we are trying to be as flexible as possible. So I think we might be able to prolong it, but again, mainly we work with application deadlines in June and July.
Great stuff. And again, for both of you in turn, are students able to apply on the basis of predicted grades? So whether they're studying IB or A levels or any other qualifications, how will students apply on the basis of going on to achieve those grades with conditional acceptance?
In our case, yes. So predicted grades are accepted during this term. Yeah, especially in current situation. But yes, predicted grades are fine.
Great. And the same for Masaryk?
I don't know, to say the truth. I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Okay, no problem.
it may be different from faculty to faculty or from study program to study program.
Great. Okay, good to know. A question specifically about the medical courses. Are students coming from the UK to your universities to study courses such as medicine?
Well, yes, there are many students coming from the UK actually at our medical courses. About 70 or 80 of them, at least.
Great. And at Pecs?
Yeah, so yeah, we have students from the UK for the medical courses as well. In our case, the biggest sending country for medical courses in English are the Scandinavian countries, especially Norway and Iran, and among the European other European countries, Sweden, and from the non-Scandinavian ones, Spain is actually a big sending country for medical. For medical programs.
Great. Okay. A question has come in about the ability to get by in English beyond the university. So obviously the courses are taught in English, but for students getting out and about, going to bars, joining clubs, dealing with landlords, at both Masaryk and at Pecs, are students able to get by without speaking Czech and speaking Hungarian?
Sorry, I don't understand you very well.
No, the
sound is not very good. You were asking
if students don't speak any Czech, are they still able to get by? English is enough for them to be able to live comfortably.
Yeah, sure. Sorry. Well, there are two possibilities actually. The first thing is that people gradually speak more and more English, so it's not a big problem. The other thing is that at the very beginning of their stay, there is a buddy system organized by the university, so they can have always a Czech student with them.
Great. And what about for Hungarian, Peter?
I think it's quite similar. I think as the local economy is highly relying on the income from international students, of course, it's necessary for them to speak English. However, it's again a wonderful opportunity to point out that studying in Central Europe is a different case. So in that case, it's a non-traditional destination, and by that it gives you a lot more on the experience side, but you also need to have the right mindset to go through it. So of course, we all say that with English you'll be able to do fine, and you'll be able to get along with all the administrative duties on and off campus or in your leisure time and whatever. But of course, it's not going to be as smooth as if you would studying in the UK. So I think it requires a certain mindset or someone who's looking for something different. But yes, apart from that, everything is doable in English.
Great, thank you. I will stick with you. Sorry, Jan.
You experience the difference actually. So that's one of the things that might be interesting. Here in the Czech Republic, like the older generations will probably speak German, but the younger generations will already speak quite decent English.
Great, thank you very much. Jan, we'll stay with you just for the last question, you first and then Peter. I guess this may be slightly more nuanced, you may not have full details, but students who may be studying the BTEC curriculum, quite popular here in the UK, a sort of an applied technical course, would that be possible for entry to your universities?
Well, we do have entrance examinations. So actually, your previous education does not play any role. You just must pass the entrance examination.
Okay, great.
Or the entrance interview. Depends on the cycle.
Understood.
And for Pecs?
Yeah, so BTEC is a quite tricky question, and it's always great because whenever I am at a fair or in I have such opportunities, I always hear about new and different high school types or systems or structures. Regarding BTEC, so basically what we say is that for an undergraduate program, there are two main things that we look at. One is that at least 12 years of pre-higher education, so basically primary school and high school together, and or if with your current qualification or high school diploma or BTech diploma, if you are with that eligible to study in the higher education at your own country, then you are eligible to enter in Hungary as well. So this is what we do. I must say I'm not a huge expert on BTech. As far as I'm concerned, it depends on the certain type of the BTech, which pathways can you take regarding higher education. But generally speaking, we accept it.
Great, fantastic, thank you. I'm afraid we've run out of time. I will be sharing contact details both ways. So Jan and Peter will have the contact details of advisors on the call and vice versa, and also we'll share the slides as a PDF.
Okay,
and also embedded. So it leaves me just to say thank you very much to Jan and Peter for two wonderful presentations, really enlightening. So thank you very much, everybody, and I hope everyone has a very good rest of their day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.